Alright guys, so this is the Orion Skyquest XT8 Plus. So any of my other videos where you see photographs and pictures that I've taken is going to be through this telescope. It's an 8-inch Dobsonian, and let's check it out. So the 8 in XT8 stands for the size of the aperture. So this is an 8-inch aperture Dobsonian. So as you can see, it's pretty large. You can get bigger, but this is a good size. You're going to grab a lot of light with an 8-inch. It has a 1200 millimeter focal length, so it's going to pair up great with many different eyepieces, different sized eyepieces. So one big upgrade on the XT8 Plus over the Classic is these tensioning knobs. So it is a Dobsonian base, so this is the way it moves. It spins on the base down below. The Plus comes with these tensioning knobs with a Teflon bearing, so you can adjust the tension on the scope in case you added heavier eyepieces or finder scope. You can adjust it so that the scope still moves slowly. The Classic has spring tension, which they haven't had too many troubles, but you cannot adjust the tension on the Classic version. So speaking of the finder scope, I have upgraded my finder scope on this. The finder scope that this comes with is Orion Easy Finder 2. It's a laser. It's not really a laser, but it's a red dot. And I found this to be pretty crappy. Mine didn't even really work that well. It kind of like the light came on and off on it, and it's a little bit of a pain. You have to get back right here and look straight. You have to look straight through here, so you're crouching down over. And there's no magnification with it, so finding deep space objects is a little trickier with this thing. They can be pretty accurate if you have the red dot aligned, pinpoint properly. They can be accurate, but I would highly recommend upgrading. So, which I did. So I went with a 9x50. This is actually an Orion finder scope. They have a dovetail mount that they use. So you either need to get an adapter or you need to buy an Orion made finder scope in order to have it fit properly. Now this finder scope is perfect. It's crystal clear. It has good magnification, like it says 9x50, so it's almost as, if you have a pair of 10x50 binoculars, it's almost as powerful as that. So you can make out some, you can find deeper things than with zero magnification. So basically, you're going to line this up with your scope, and you're gonna see them in here. The focuser is a dual focus, so you have your main knob here, and then for very fine focus, you have right here. Is a 2-inch. Hold on, let's see what we got here. So it takes 2-inch eyepieces. So it comes with a 28 millimeter. Which is actually, I find it pretty nice actually. It's very clear, and it's actually the wide field of view that you get with this 28 combined with the focal length and the size of the aperture is a very wide field of view, and it's very clear. It also has an adapter, so you can use 1 1/4 inch eyepieces with it, and it does come with it comes with a 10 millimeter Plössl, which I also find that eyepiece is very good, and it comes with a 2x Barlow. So what this is going to do is it's going to turn your 10 millimeter into a 5 millimeter basically. So you're going to get the magnification of a 5 millimeter, and of course magnification is all relevant compared to your magnification is going to be your focal length of your telescope divided by the focal length of your eyepiece. So a 10 millimeter in this telescope is going to be 120x, which is, when you're looking at deep space things, like it's better to have, you don't really want to be zoomed right in on those things. You get a much better view with a wide field of view and a very clear field of view. The tube is a steel. It's blue. This one's blue. The classic is black. All the classics are black. You can also get this in telescope, so it has you can rig them up and you can just put the coordinates in and it'll find everything for you. I'm not so much into that. They're more expensive, and I find, I kind of enjoy trying to learn the night sky a bit and learn the constellations and learn where to find the Messier objects and things like that. I find that interesting. Get in there. Also comes with a collimation cap. So collimation cap, maybe I'll make a separate video on that because it can be a little tricky first. Basically you'll pop this out and you'll pop this collimation cap in there. You'll take this off. There's lots of videos on collimating. I may do a separate one, but that's all you need. All you need is this cap that it comes with. You don't really need to buy like a laser collimator. This is plenty. You can get it dead center with that. Another thing about these telescopes in Orion, they have great customer service. I've dealt with them a few times before in the past, and they're just like fantastic. They handle all your if you have any complaints or issues, they'll see to it that it gets sorted out and you're happy with everything in the end. The trick with these Newtonian reflectors, and I guess reflectors probably in general, especially if you live somewhere where it's cool, with a cool climate like I do, you really need to sit them outside for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even an hour if you can, before you go out and use them. Like, it's going to make a huge difference. It really does. You might not think, and it's not even to do with fogging, with steaming up of the mirrors, because I've seen the mirrors look clear but you still don't get a good image. It's actually the heat inside the telescope when you move it out affects the light rays coming in, and it distorts the image. So if the mirror is still warmer than the ambient temperature, you're not going to get a clear picture. One other thing too that I read, because Jupiter was kind of just coming up over my garage, so I was looking through and I could not get Jupiter to focus. And one thing that I've read, that you shouldn't view over the top of a roof or a black shingled roof, because it still has heat from the daytime unless it has time to cool down. So the heat from the garage roof was rising up and interfering with my image of Jupiter. That said, once I sorted all that out, Jupiter was crystal clear. Even with the 28 millimeter, the 2-inch 28 millimeter, you could see the bands on Jupiter. They were small, but it's a wide field of view. The telescope is more aimed towards deep space viewing. The moon looks amazing in it because of the aperture. If you have a smaller telescope, and you can have the same size eyepiece, because viewing is all about the aperture, and the focal length is what it's all about. It's not so much the magnification. So you have a 10 millimeter. Okay, so I have a 10 millimeter, and this looks way better than a 10 millimeter in. My other video, my first telescope was the Celestron Power Seeker 80AZS. So it still looks decent in that too for a beginner scope, but with the same size eyepiece in this, it looks way better. So if you're looking to get like a second scope and you're upgrading from your first scope, or I would highly recommend this, an 8-inch. You might as well go for an 8 if you can afford it. A 6 is probably pretty good too, but you might as well go for that 8, because you're going to be happy with an 8-inch, and it could be last you your lifetime. You may never need to go any bigger than that. I'm sure a 10-inch would be really nice, but 8-inch is fantastic. It kind of hits the sweet spot. So that's my opinion on this scope, and thanks for checking out, guys. We'll catch you later.